Hi there, I'm Gabe Manthorpe and I'm Head of Faculty for Higher Education at Newham College of Further Education. What are the duties of an Assistant Director? So there's an existential question first up, and it obviously would imply reporting into a director as part of a wider remit. Now, I wasn't actually reporting into a director as assistant director, so in that sense, it was nominal, and really it's more indicative of a level or tier of responsibility within an organisation. The epitome of this is that my job title has actually just changed from assistant director to head of faculty, but with very much the same remit and responsibilities. In fact, assistant director is actually quite an uncommon title at that tier. Director is much more common, sort of at the tier above, particularly in business support services like finance or HR. But senior leaders in curriculum would more commonly be heads of school, heads of faculty, heads of department, or assistant principals. Now, what's more important is what this tier is actually responsible for. So that might usually involve managing a team of curriculum managers and therefore being responsible for anywhere up to 1,000 students within a cluster of curriculum areas. It would involve overseeing any sort of complaints and disciplinary investigations within that area. It would include implementing quality assurance and quality improvement measures and actions within the area in alignment with a quality improvement plan and self-assessment review on an annual basis. It would include regular monitoring of performance indicators such as attendance and picking up on those things quickly, acting quickly to improve the performance of an area. It might include networking, for example, with employers, and the wider strategic responsibility for the intent and the future planning of the curriculum in the area. What did your career progression into FE look like? Another great question, and as I've discussed in one of my previous articles, one of the best things about further education are all the different pathways you can take to pursue a career in the sector. So in my case, I left drama school and went to work in the performing arts sector. And alongside that was looking for hourly paid lecturing work, and found a role at Peterborough where I was able to bring my professional experience into the classroom with the students, and just found a passion instantly for that vocational setting that further education gives you. So I then sort of progressed into more and more hours at the college and less time dedicated to my freelance work. I also found a passion and an interest in further education itself and colleges themselves, for example, by taking on roles as a union rep and as a staff governor, and in turn took on interim leadership responsibilities for departments, and in a sense, the rest is history. That's where my leadership journey in further education began, really naturally, through entrance as a practitioner. What experience is needed to obtain a leadership position in FE? So, on the surface level, you're almost definitely going to need a degree in a relevant subject or discipline, and possibly a teaching qualification to go alongside that. From a professional point of view, I think one of the most important experiences you can take into an FE leadership job is experience as a teacher, whether that's in a school or a university, a college, or an apprenticeship provider, or even through training in the workplace. Speaking of which, I also would say professional experience is a really important part of being a leader in further education. If you can bring real genuine insight to the students that you are training to be in that sector, then I think that's a really valuable quality in FE leaders. Then more sort of broadly management skills. You're going to be managing a team of people, therefore having line management experience and communications experience with staff that you manage is a really important part of what you'll be doing. You're likely to be managing a budget. So if you can prove that you've managed a budget through previous experience, then that's a really important part again. You'll be timetabling and planning courses in complex, perhaps, structures and organisational teams. That's going to have to be a really important part of what you do. And you'll be quality assuring and seeking to quality improve your course. Therefore, experience in monitoring and improving quality, again, perhaps in a broad range of settings, is really, really helpful experience. What is your advice for someone looking to start teaching? So my advice for someone looking to start teaching would be to gain as much experience in a classroom setting as you possibly can. Connect with your local college, offer workshops in whatever your professional or academic background might be. Look out for learning support roles or hourly paid roles as a way to get into a room in front of students and start taking on that responsibility, because nothing can prepare you to plan and lead a lesson like standing in front of a room of expectant students can. Keep your eye out for job opportunities through jobs.ac.uk and make sure you're always framing your past experience in a way that meets the requirements of a teaching role. What key skills are essential for moving from classroom or support focused roles into senior leadership positions in FE? I would say focus on delivering consistent, outstanding impact in your current role. Self-reflect, keep looking at what you can improve, then improve it, and demonstrate through the correct channels to your leaders and managers what impact you've had. Take every opportunity that comes your way, whether that's CPD, networking, project leadership, even just responding to a staff survey. Make your face seen and your voice heard. In retrospect, nothing has helped to elevate my knowledge of further education more than those little voluntary responsibilities and opportunities that I picked up that exposed me to leaders and managers and to leadership and management long before that was in my job title. How can someone early in their FE career start to develop those leadership skills while still managing a full teaching load? Now, that really is a great question, and that is the question in FE leadership, and the answer can't be just do more, as many of us know. I think I would return to looking at how you demonstrate leadership acumen and impact through what you currently do, that being teaching. As teachers, we have the benefits of multiple complex groups of people to manage long before we line manage anyone, that being the students. So I would look at how you are leading, managing, supporting, and developing those students. What processes are you implementing and adhering to ensure that you're continuously delivering and improving the impact that you have in your role? How can I successfully transition into leadership positions in FE if I have no previous FE experience? Yeah, that really is a tough one. And the chances are that in an interview for an FE leadership position, you're likely to be up against people who do have some FE experience. Firstly, I would say it would depend on what the role is. If it's a business support role, such as finance or HR, I would suggest you take the underpinning principles of what you do know about finance or human resources. You do the research to interrogate how these apply in FE, and then you demonstrate that logic at interview, and you demonstrate your broad competence as a result. If you're talking about curriculum or quality leadership roles, I would begin thinking about what other teaching, training, or educational experience you do have that you could draw on, even if it's not from further education. Or if you've got impressive leadership experience from a subject sector, for example, the construction industry, do your research into the course offer at the college you're applying to. Do your research into local skills demand for construction skills. And you might find that your experience actually puts you as the most valuable possible candidate for that position as a result. What is the impact of AI in FE? How much concern is there that AI will replace teachers in classrooms? Okay, controversial here, as I know there are a number of people doing excellent work in FE on AI. However, I would broadly say that AI isn't quite as prominent a topic in FE colleges as it is in universities yet. That might mean there's less concern. It might be a result of the larger research and innovation arm of universities. It might be that FE are playing catch up on AI. In any case, I'm not aware of any major concerns relating to the replacement of FE teachers with AI. Differently to universities, colleges are incredibly community focused and localized. That means they're notoriously inclusive, accessible, and supportive for individuals, as opposed to being much larger, more selective organizations. And this brings a really individualized human element to what FE teachers do that it's really hard to imagine AI replacing. Could a university background be viewed as a disadvantage when applying for FE roles? The simple answer here is absolutely not. The college may deliver higher education programs for which your university level skills would be really, really beneficial. That said, I think most college leaders would welcome the diversity of experience that would come with a university background. What I would say is that colleges can be very, very different environments with very, very different day-to-day demands than a university role, and I'd definitely make sure you're prepared for these differences before you make that move. What steps would you recommend for someone who is transitioning from a research or HE background to build credibility and progress towards leadership roles within FE colleges? So this follows on really nicely from my previous answer. And firstly, I would ask yourself, what are you seeking from making the move? In my experience, working in a college, more than any other educational setting, requires you to have a student-centered approach, and authentically so. Every decision you make has to be made in the best interests of the students first and foremost. But going back to the question, I would begin by thinking about the vocational component of your academic subject. How would you articulate the complex theories that you've absorbed through your research to a group of 20, 16-year-olds sat in front of you on a Tuesday afternoon? How does your academic subject apply to the real world of work as young people might understand it? My final piece of advice would be to embrace those trials and tribulations of FE and college life with both hands. It's fast-paced, overwhelming, and particularly when you start, it's not always easy, but it's incredibly rewarding once you learn to love it. What is it like working for Newham College, London? Now there's a question, and I wonder which of my colleagues is trying to catch me out here, but no, I thoroughly enjoy my role at Newham. I'm really proud of what we've built with our brand new higher education offer at London City Institute of Technology. Newham's an ambitious, fast-paced and positive place to work that punches above its weight and where everybody gets stuck in, and it's my sort of place for that reason. It's home to a leadership team of real sector experts in further education who've taught me a lot. Like any FE college, it's a roller coaster of change, but one that I would definitely recommend to anyone. What is the most challenging part of your role? Well, ironically, this is actually the easiest question yet. The hardest part of my role, as has been the case in all of my previous HE leadership positions within FE colleges, is advocating for the often small HE part of what we do, in amongst the overwhelming wealth of FE responsibilities on people's shoulders and competing priorities. It requires sector expertise, patience, coaching support, change management, team building, and a willingness to get stuck in yourself. But it's a vital part of what colleges do, allowing access to higher education for many people who might not otherwise choose or be able to pursue it. What is your favourite part of working in FE? Well, there's a nice positive place to finish. Undoubtedly, my favourite part of working in FE is the people. The staff, the students, the culture, the communities. The minute I first walked into a college, I realised that college people were my people, and I've worked in and led colleges ever since.